pilgrimages. How come you have not been to Tirupati as yet? Not even Sabrimala? Nor the Kumbh Mela? Then you must have visited Futpati and the Dargah in Ajmer. No? How about Mecca and Lourdes? Oh, not been there either. No pilgrimages. What about your salvation? People ask me. I feel confused as I do not understand what they mean. For me, this entire life journey has been a pilgrimage. Everything and every place appears to be sacred to me. Coming to my lake house at Andur is a pilgrimage. The lake, the hills, the forest, its animals, birds, my house, all are sacred. Going back to my city house, to my family is similar. Our visits to my sites with their sacred soil, trees, bricks, gravel and wood is the same. To me, going to a fine musical concert that creates a sacred communion with my ears and soul is a sacred event. And journeying to see an original Van Gogh, Hussein, Henry Moore, or Giacometti is no less a pilgrimage. Traveling to the snow-capped Himalayas, or the Silent Valley, or to the roaring seas, walking under the tree canopies or snorkeling in the coral reefs are also very spiritual journeys to me, where I lose myself in nature. Living a good, honest, contented, happy life is in itself my prayer and affirmation of this universal energy. Going to orphanages, old people's homes, and hospitals to help the poor and needy are also pilgrimages of a different sort. Enriching a derelict, barren environment with trees and healthy human activity is another kind of worship. Relinquishing and giving to the underprivileged have-nots are my ahutis and pujas, my rituals on this pilgrimage of life. So is my work as an architect, writer, painter, a kind of worship, a tribute to this wonderful life. And thus sacred are my various roles as a husband, father, son, brother, friend, employer, employee, and as a citizen of this planet Earth. If I start writing about all that is respectful and sacred to me in life, a big book would appear inadequate. But as an architect, so many places of pilgrimage come to my mind, where I go to pay my respects, from where I seek inspiration. Here are just a few of them. Stone for the floor and roof, stone for the walls, pillars, and parapets. A fascinating monolith carved out of a solid natural rock, with intriguing combinations of rough natural forms and the intricate man-made articulated forms. The peripheral verticality of the rock contrasting boldly with its beautifully carved stepped spire, and those rhythmic stone corridors. The great rock-cut Kailasa temple at Ellora. Palace without any superfluous ornamentation and embellishments to display its status, but still very beautiful, graceful, and alive. The Padmanabhapuram Palace in Trivandrum is also my place of pilgrimage, where I experience sheer joy and reverence at every step. A combination of simple white stuccoed masonry, dark amber colored wood, and clay tiles for roof. The climate responsive curved louvered wooden facades, also embedded in the austere simple wall surfaces which gradually unfold into complex internal spaces, courtyards, and playful roofscapes, all in the same alluring simplicity. Then we have this wonderful complex made from red agra stone, open courtyards flowing into semi-open pavilions, further going into cooler, darker spaces. What stirring modulations in spaces, further creating these modulations of light and shade. At Fatehpur Sikri, the Mughal sensitivity to scale and detail in the built form, with open landscape spaces and the water bodies, imparting such immense, soothing ambience. The deceptively prosaic and simple facade opens inside into some of the most intricate and beautiful spaces I have ever seen. The Alhambra in Granada, one of the finest examples of the sensitive Moorish architecture. The slender columns, arches, the trellis work, and the elaborate ceilings, courtyards with the water channels and fountains, all blending into an absolute sensuous delight. Even after 1500 years of its existence, the charm, beauty, and attraction of the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul has not diminished. A technological marvel of its time, it continues to be one even today. The scale, grandeur, and sanctity of the inner spaces do strike a chord deep within me, that of humility and surrender. While designing, he followed his heart and listened to his inner voice. Thus, the organic form of this very tall church does not overpower or dominate us, but gradually carries us up with it. Gaudi's articulation of all the surfaces of this Sagrada Familia church in Barcelona does this trick. The more I stayed there, the more I seemed to see this church as an extension of myself, and the more I became one with it. The small shore temple with its naturally eroded stones at Mamalapuram acquires a primordial, matured ambience. The crashing sea waves with their salty sprays also seem to become a part of this wonderful visual experience. People pay their obeisance to the god in this temple, whereas to me, the temple seems to be paying its obeisance to the sea. How can architecture make the daily core of fetching water so enjoyable and inviting? By creating wonderful, cool, shaded pavilions en route to the well that become the desired pauses for chatting and relaxing. The Adala stepwell, a 7-storied sculpture of modulating light and spaces, is an absolute joy to be in on a hot summer day. Very rarely has water been sanctified and celebrated in this manner. At Mandu, we see romance, valor, and beauty in its stone arches, domes, and buttresses, and in their reflections in the lake. Like the time here, even the water in the channels does not rush but lingers along in a clockwise and anti-clockwise spiral. The fort seems to organically sprout out of the vast desert. The same colors and the same curvilinear forms. Once inside the fort gates, I find a fascinating variety of spaces. Built forms, plain or carved, interactive streets, made harmonious and unified by the yellow sandstone and the architectural language created by it. Jaisalmer, one of the best examples of human desert settlements. Wonderful architecture without architects. The hilly island rises from the sea, with the waves lashing and washing its base. A wonderful snug family of white houses emerge on it, creating between them narrow, wide, winding, unwinding, covered, and open streets. Their loggias extend out for a warm handshake with their neighbors amidst fragrant, delicious grape wines. Many layers of warmth, mystery, and intoxication created in this dialogue between the innumerable shades of blue and these countless grades of white on this wonderful Greek island in the Mediterranean Sea. Isn't it just mind-boggling to merely visualize the tremendous hard work and planning that went into hand carve a wonderful Nabatean township in this desert out of the prevailing natural stone almost 2000 years ago? This fascinating Petra, such a unified, harmonious landscape from these beige colored rocks, some carved by man and others by nature. Wouldn't I leave my house in the city to live in one of these rock-cut apartments if the entire settlement was once again alive and reverberating with activity? Why do I feel some mysterious energy when I step near and inside this circular formation of these massive stones at Stonehenge? Truly, it does wield some kind of a spell with some cosmic energy that is seemingly trapped within its circle. Finite diversities growing from the contained infinite, interspaced but amazingly holding each other together, relating to each other in the most harmonious, unobtrusive, considerate way. A beautiful finite-infinite relationship. Stones, moss, and raked sand in the Roinji temple courtyard. Many such places act as some kind of energy centers for me, recharging my creativity and inspiring me to do better, making me more humble, down to earth, and humane. Unlike today's vulgar, greedy, commercial, religious pilgrimage places, they seem to be blessing me without expecting anything in return. To receive their blessings, I must be empty.